fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off, Izuku, Hisashi, and Enko, along with Momo, have all been dropped off at the Supreme Kai's planet. Now, they are going to be going through some heavily intensive training. Especially because the fact is that they are supposed to pull the Z-Sword from, well, the stone. Now, with the fact is that they cannot pull the sword, this would encourage them to train harder and more intensely, meaning that they will be getting rapid Zenkai boost throughout their days of training. Along with the fact that Midoriya and Momo do actually know the healing technique, this would actually increase the amount of time they are able to train, recovery, and overall boost in power. Now, with that being said, I do believe that there was a situation going on Earth. Now, we will pick up there with the Guardian of Earth. He is currently trying to hold out. Now, exactly what do I mean by that? Years ago, after Midoriya and his family did leave the planet again, the Guardian, a few months later, encountered a group of space pirates. Now, typically this would not be a problem. However, this particular group, they themselves were horrible people. In fact, it wasn't just that. They so happened to be Namekians, all underneath the Lord Slug's control. Now, with that being said, the Guardian of Earth, I do believe that their power level was at 25,000, or possibly even 22,000. So let us continue there. Now, these space pirates have landed on Earth, and they are looking for the Dragon Balls. If it is possible for them to get a wish granted, Lord Slug wants to get back his youth. Then in all likelihood, he does want to get stronger, conquer this planet, and use it as a temporary base. In fact, he did hear that there were some strong warriors here. In fact, their species did survive an onslaught from a Saiyan. Even then, apparently the battle was felt in space. Now, with that being said, the Earth Defense Force, as soon as they are alerted to this foreign presence on their planet, they all immediately do jump into action, along with releasing a few prototypes. Now, these prototypes, or the cybernetic prototypes, are kids who have been augmented. Now, with that being said, it is an older generation, but they are still children. Now then, as they and quite a lot of Earthlings are sent out, they do encounter Lord Slug's forces, and begin to quickly try and take action. Now, these space pirates are actually quite surprised. whenever they're being pushed back by a group of Earthlings. Before Lord Slug does make his presence known, and one of his higher ranking henchmen, or his second in command, does begin to fight them, being able to quickly move in and have malfunctions occur in their systems. Now, as soon as this second in command does actually get a few cheap shots in on these cybernetic humans, they begin to quickly fall in combat. Either their cybernetics are turning off, malfunctioning, or are quite simply just broken. Now, many of them do begin to fall in combat. However, then there is the Guardian of Earth, who does actually arrive along with some of these cybernetic children. Or, for right now, we can just call them androids. Now then, as the androids do arrive, they do see Kami, or the Guardian, and they are quite confused whenever he does actually rush into combat and begin to fight against the second in command. Meanwhile, Lord Slug, he then begins to disappear, him flying in a different direction. Now, more and more of these henchmen do begin to pour out of the ship. As that is happening, we also do have the Earth Defense Force. Their androids are fighting and trying to hold off more and more of these strange aliens, deciding to actually send in former pro heroes who have been augmented. Now, with that being said, pro heroes are sent in and do try and help out the situation. While that is happening, however, before they can arrive, the unnamed Namekian is being overpowered. Anytime him and the second in command are fighting, he's either being shot at or simply just being hit. Now, while all that is happening, he is eventually beaten down and laid out across the ground. The second in command beginning to tell this Namekian that he was a very strong warrior. And in fact, he does have one way to let him live. It can benefit the both of them. Him going off to state that if they were to fuse and use the forbidden technique, then both of them can survive. In fact, it won't just be both of them. They will become an entirely new being. And most likely, they will be able to serve Lord Slug properly. The Namekian refusing this offer, as the evil one, or the second in command, does begin to try and forcibly assimilate the unnamed Namekian. Now, as that process does begin, the Namekian does try and fight against this, being able to stave off this man's attempted invasion. Now, while that is happening, an android does actually bring their hand up and begin to charge a blast. As soon as the blast is a sufficient enough size, they directly impact the back of this evil Namekian. The Namekian recoiling back in pain as their focus is completely taken away, them being almost critically injured. However, the Namekian we know, he actually does bring up his hand and assimilate this Namekian. As soon as he does stand up, he's a bit wobbly. However, he does notice a significant power increase, as he does look up and see a squadron of the androids. We are part of the Earth Defense Force. We do not know who you are, but you must surrender. It's quite alright. But thank you for that. Do you have any idea why they were attacking you? They are after something on this planet. Really? Exactly what would that something be? I cannot tell you that. However, the rest of these Namekians, they all have darkness in their hearts. I see. Now, this young person does actually order his squadron to go around and execute them. This catching the unnamed Namekian off guard, telling them that that is not needed, it's not necessary. Just allow them to leave. This younger man, or the current commander, instructing him that that will not be possible. In fact, most likely, they all need to be killed now. If they attack Earth, then they attack us. After the instances with the Saiyan years ago, or roughly about 2 years ago, they cannot take chances. Or not years ago, months ago, my bad. Now, this is quite surprising. And the Namekian does actually give an alternative. He does see that some of them, they do feel hesitant to follow that order. So he is the Earth's guardian. If he must protect the Earth, then he will do this himself. Now, he does go around and try and offer up alternatives to Namekians. Many of them, they would prefer to fuse, rather than to be killed or run away. If Lord Slug does gain his youth, and he knows that they have failed him, there is no telling what he would do to them. Now, with that being said, the unnamed Namekian, he does try to release as many of these men as possible, or at least get them to disband from Slug's army. Now, with all that said and done, eventually, it is somewhat renounced. The unnamed Namekian with a power boost, he does begin to try and hunt down Slug. Now, as soon as these two do meet face to face, Slug does try and recruit him. Explain to him what he does want to do. Now, after this is somewhat put into place, the unnamed Namekian does tell Slug that this is not going to happen. He will never have the Dragon Balls. They were just used this year. So even if he wanted to use them, he couldn't. Even then, hunting them all down would be impossible. Not whenever there's the Human Defense Force. Not whenever there's him. And not even whenever him then saying, whenever the humans or the Saiyans come back to this planet. Now, with that, this is whenever Lord Slug, he actually does try and blindsight the unnamed Namekian, trying to use a technique to blind him. Now, as soon as that does happen, Slug does begin to go running for the ship. Before Kami, I guess I can say, would actually decide to destroy it. Now, I do want to say that Slug would be killed within the explosion. But, let's just keep it at they do not find a body. And Earthlings do begin to study the technology that has just fallen into their hands. Actually, no. Let's say that Slug disappeared after the Namekian was trying to gain back his eyesight. He thought Slug went for the ship, but whenever he did arrive, there was nothing there. And humans were intrigued by the technology this ship held. Now, this is a genuine spacecraft, and they immediately begin to get it relocated. Now then, with all that being said, the unnamed Namekian, he does head back towards the lookout. And over the next few months, he would begin to notice something. It wasn't an immediate change, but even Mr. Popo did notice. There is a lot more darkness in his heart than there was before. And even then, it has just begun to grow and grow and grow. It's like a ginormous shadow hiding the sun. And eventually the two of them did split apart. Now, this would basically turn the unnamed Namekian into Kami. And Demon King Piccolo would be born. Now, the two did try to battle and fight. However, eventually King Piccolo did get locked away due to Mr. Popo and Kami's work. Now, with all of that being said, the Earth is safe for the moment. And the humans do begin to integrate this new alien technology within their own, finding ways to fill in gaps that the alien technology had with their own, and reverse engineering many different properties. Now, with all that, let us cut back over to the Supreme Kai's worlds. In the present day, Midoriya is now, I believe, 14 to 15 years old. In fact, yeah, I believe he's 14, almost 15. Anyways, we do have Midoriya facing off against Sasaki, as the two immediately rush at each other at blinding speeds. The two going back and forth and beating each other down, before they do begin to use the Kaioken. Now, the amount of power they're throwing around on the Kaioshin world is impressive, and Vados is actually watching from a distance away, watching as both of these two do properly face off against one another. And they just keep going and going. Now, with all of that, we will have her come back to the planet. As soon as she does arrive, everyone is surprised to see her. Midoriya healing his father's injuries, as Vados does begin to state that they have all grown immensely. Yes, Miss Vados. You still have not gotten rid of that. Sorry. But, well, we've grown, right? Yes. Although, have you been able to get that sword out of the stone? Oh, no. Well then. It would appear that your training is incomplete then. Incomplete? Yes. You're supposed to pull the sword from that stone. If you are unable to, then that just means you have not gone through the next step. In fact, I myself have been looking into something for all of you. And I do believe I know where your power may truly lie. Really? Yes, young man. However, I do believe that there would be a situation that would arise on Earth one day. So, for right now, we are done training your parents. Now, Hasashi and Enko, they are actually kind of surprised by that. What does she mean they're done training? Well, look at both of you. Intensely strong, intentionally fit, and overall, I do not believe there would be much left to teach both of you. Your son, however, does still have many ways to go. Listen, Vados, you can't just take our son away from us. Vados, that's not how this works. Hmm? Whatever do you mean? Your son is old enough. He can choose a decision for himself, can't he? That's not the point. You can't just say after all this that you don't feel like you're doing us something wrong. Hmm? What are you talking about? You've had me and Inko fight against each other all the time. You've barely trained us. All you've done is give us chores and workouts to do on your planets. However, here, Shin actually does take his time to try. Just like how you do with Izuku. Alright then. So, I do have a question for you. If you believe that you would be able to have proper training, what would you do? What? If you believe that you would have proper training, what do you want to do? You know what? Fine. You want Izuku to take down or bring balance to the universe, right? That would be a start. So how about we take on his task? Well, Dad. No, listen. Vados, you've underestimated us too. We're his parents. Whatever strange power he has, Ultra Instinct, it does not matter. Now, Shin immediately recoils at hearing those two words put together. Ultra Instinct. That is why he's the next candidate, isn't it? Why, yes, it is. In fact, he's quite a powerful young man, is he not? Hmm. Well, yes, actually, but. Now, Momo actually does tell Vados about a certain idea. First, they can eliminate the Saiyans that threaten her planet. That would get the Emperor's attention, would it not? Smart girl. Thank you, ma'am. Alright then. You do wish to seek the Emperor's attention, and get his eyes on you. So, do please do what you can. Take care of the Saiyans, and your training will be completed. However, for your son, he is still quite a bit of ways behind where he is expected to be. Now, with all of that, we do have Hasashi and Inko leave. Both of them bring their fingers up to their heads as they disappear. Now, Vados is confused and surprised until she does actually look towards Izuku, who's somewhat smiling. Did you. Why? Well, they might need it. Besides, I told them about a trick I told them about a trick I've actually figured out. And exactly what would that be? Well, technically it's difficult to do, but it's not impossible. Basically, you can try using instant transmission close to somebody. You focus on their power level. However, you move away from them, and you begin to try and find other strong power levels. So you're saying it is like how I travel through space? Kinda. Although if you do it wrong, well, you might pop out somewhere you don't want to be. Within the vacuum of space, correct? Yeah. Alright then. I believe that you two shall come with me. Now, this is whenever she does take both of them back to the planets. Now, she takes both of them back to Beerus's planet and begins to get them on some of the training she wants to put them on. Beginning to train Midoriya in the art of destruction. Now, as for Momo, Momo does begin to learn what Vados wants her to learn. Her teaching Momo the same thing she taught Hisashi and Inko. However, with her being a pure-blooded Saiyan, she does believe that she can at least try and put ideas into her head. Thinking that if she does at least have a good relation to the God of Destruction, that the Saiyans could prosper, and their battle species could one day integrate into many others, overall boosting the power level of Universe 7. Now, with all that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.